All right, hello and welcome to another market closing live stream. Let's see what we got going on. As you can see, kind of a disaster day in the indices. Just absolutely pummeled today. We're going to see if we close down 5% or not. Just really crazy. A good day to scalp puts on it if you did that. And a bad day to check your 401k, which I will not be doing. So this morning I talked about how Target had a really steep decline on earnings, and the losses there probably outpaced the reality of that report a bit. But that's just kind of the climate that we're in. Stocks are just going to get just pummeled, just really punished for any kind of bad news. And so we saw that with Walmart, we saw that with Target, and not that those caused this total market sell off, but they certainly had something to say about what went on in consumer defensive today. And you can see here, you just really don't see Coke drop 6% or more. That's just very uncommon. And this is going to put a big old dent in the day chart on Coke. And so you could see, Coke had been hitting all-time highs, and now is dropping back into this zone. Prices we haven't seen since the end of March. And going to be interesting to see how far down that wants to retrace, or if we get a little bit of relief tomorrow. Same story with Pepsi and Kroger. Kroger just giving back almost everything from its last earnings. And you look at something like Five, which is a stock I trade at times, and it's just really hurting here. So that's one thing I notice. Consumer defensive, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, just disaster today. Even oil, Oxy down 6%. This to me is going to present a pretty good opportunity in days to come. And all you got to do with Oxy is just zoom out a bit, and you'll see kind of where it is. So we're back here at a point where it had been consolidating. So definitely you'll keep an eye on oil futures. Want to dig into the flow a bit, see if we get a little bit of a bounce. Energy, oil overall in this uptrend has been rewarding buying on red days. I'm not necessarily going to buy today, but definitely we'll be looking to see how that reacts tomorrow. And you can see most of like the smaller caps, they gave back a lot too. And it's just a market where having put triggers on something, even if you're pretty bullish on it, can really pay off. So yesterday, during my market closing live stream, I mapped out these triggers on snow. So I was looking for it either to break to the upside at 149.42 or to the downside at around 140.47 or so. And you can see here at open there was some indecision. I did talk about how with the indices opening down about 1.5%, that I kind of felt like I'd want to wait it out a bit just to see what direction these stocks want to go. So we had went through the put trigger and rejected and came back, and this is a perfect example of a retest, and it's really the safest way to trade on a trigger is just to really look for that confirmation. You're gonna maybe miss some of the move. The other option is to scale in. If you entered when it crossed the put trigger, you would be down here. You might get stopped out, which would be unfortunate. But if you're maybe just going to add one contract initially, and then you're not really persuaded by these candles and this attempt here, you can then scale in further. But I was somewhat bullish on snow going into today, and pre-market changed my view on that a bit. But anyway, this is just an example of how triggers work and how you can use those. So let's take a look at what the whales are doing in these last few minutes here, and I'll go to the alerts first, and then we'll get into flow alerts, and we'll just see. I'm always really interested in alerts during the last hour or so, and seeing like what kind of story that might be telling. So we'll go back here a bit to okay. All right, so we'll start here. Apple, $1 million call expiring in next week. So oops, yeah. All right. So someone's buying the dip on Apple, $62, and banking on a little bit of relief here. Is at 150C, and what's Apple currently sitting at? So it's down. They're already down on this contract. It's a 140 instead of 141. So retrace to 150, certainly possible. So there's one bullish alert, and this does have all of the kind of the hallmarks of what I look for in an alert. IV isn't anything crazy. It never really is on Apple. The volume over 1 million is a lot, pretty normal for Apple though. Out of the money, expiring within the next 2 weeks. So if you trade Apple, I think that's a strike to keep an eye on. It's one to maybe look at within the flow more generally, and we can see here. See what Apple's doing in the live flow alerts, whether those are leaning bullish or bearish. All right, so to start the day, a lot of bearish activity, not really that surprising, mostly sold calls. And then we started to get a little bit of activity picking up. So here's a call, so a few calls on the ask side, and more bearish activity. Mostly sold calls. So what does that mean? Might not mean a lot, but I would say that I would be more bearish on it if I saw a lot of ask side puts on this screen, and attempts to kind of push it down more out of the money. A decline of almost 6% on Apple in a day is a lot. So if you're buying puts right now, you're essentially chasing, and whales seem to know that, so they're not really that keen on doing that. But at the same time, they'll sell you a call on it, and bank that it's not going to recover that much in the next couple of days. So that's kind of where that sits. Other ones that catch my attention, IWM is a fund for small caps that has been struggling for for months, really, even more so than SPY and QQQ to some extent. So if we look at IWM, down 4% today, and if we look at it, we zoom out a bit. It's yeah, as you can see, has really been selling off dramatically since November. I didn't even really benefit from the rally in March as much as some did, and further selling. So this particular alert, 167p out of the money for June, priced around $400. Certainly possible. It's telling kind of a bearish story there. And then we have Upstart. Upstart was a bright spot in the market today. Gave you two 10% moves on the day. Really kind of dramatic. And gave them back, but really stayed green throughout. So had this dramatic run at open, gave a lot back, and hit another uptrend. So really impressive day overall, all things considered, with the market. So this is one that that you can trade pretty much every day. It's on my watch list most days. So Upstart, definitely one to keep an eye on. And as we look into what it was doing on this page, we do see mostly bullish activity on it, and a lot of alerts, repeated chain activity, a lot of weeklies. So some weekly calls at 50, and more here as well, all the way up to 60C. So the rule that's firing this, repeated chain activity, volume over open interest. Volume over open interest is definitely something that I look for. And here we do see put on it, call, but pretty bullish overall. And I think for trading, the volatility for day trades is something that I definitely like about Upstart. So I expect big moves from it. Will probably be on my watch list tomorrow. And in terms of what I would set for a trigger, we're not quite at close yet, but just to give you a little bit of a refresher there. So the average true range on it, 1352 or thereabouts. And let me grab my calculator. So I take the average true range and I divide it by 4. 1352 divided by 4 equals 338. And so that would be my trigger on it. And that's a pretty high number. The thing that throws off Upstart with this average true range is the fact that it dropped 65%. So that's kind of my first draft of some trigger levels, but I might adjust that just based on what the stock has actually been doing. So I go into the 1 hour chart here, and a move of 350, 48, 31. So for a call, 51.69 is what I would come up with, and you can see that is, zoom out a bit. Yeah, I mean, we're in kind of no man's land. We're in this huge gap here, so you don't have a lot to compare it to historically. But you do have these candles today it made some attempts and kind of got rejected. So I might actually look at like the top of these at like 51.14 might be what I would actually look at on it. And then for a put trigger, go to the bottom here, and this zone here where it kind of consolidated a bit and hit some resistance and then pulled back and broke through, that at like 46.83 might actually be a pretty decent put trigger. So I can draw some lines here. All right, so we'll draw a line there and about right. Oops. Get another line. Right there, or kind of thereabouts. So, so that would kind of be sitting right in the middle of my range here, and I'm looking for a move. So this, would be a pretty significant move in the stock, but it does that. I mean, it will break through and just kind of keep going. And so anyway, so that's my draft of my call and put triggers on Upstart. Okay, so let me just go into live flow alerts, just see kind of what's popping in. Okay, so what I'm looking for on a day like today are calls mostly, and the reason is I want to see, of these beaten down stocks, what is it that whales are buying, and what maybe could we look at for a potential reversal. Like, so we had a couple charge point orders pop in, and these are both ask side calls. So charge points. EV chargers in general have been selling off, and we can see here, if a stock's down 4% on a day like today, that is not as steep as you might expect. So that's kind of promising. You sort of look for what's holding up, and is this $10 level on charge point something that it's going to try to defend? And where I would go first to try to assess that would be this intraday analyst page. All right, so charge points. It hits a lot of call volume around this zone here. So you can see it at $10. It does in fact pick up a lot of call volume. This page here, this is called COPE. What is COPE? Cumulative options premium effect. It's a measurement of a given stock's bid and ask side premium flow over a specific time interval. COPE gives traders the ability to see and map options trend an options trend with the movement of the stock. You then analyze divergences. So the kind of the thinking behind COPE is that if this yellow line is above the price, it's going to tend to pull that to the upside, and we can see it did in fact do that. And here again we have another divergence, so we're closing the day with a COPE divergence. So this is just kind of one piece of the puzzle that might lean you to be a little bit bullish on the stock. And in terms of volume, just not much intraday, but here at the end of the day we do have a big spike in calls, and that is accounted for in what I just saw in the live flow alerts. So what are the actual options on this? I'm looking for kind of near term sold puts on it. So we do have some at 1150p, and I'm going to kind of ignore the leaps for now. This is very likely a single buyer looking at 20C and 20p, and doing a spread on that. So not that interested in that if I'm looking to day trade this. But what we have coming up here, we have 1250, 1150, and 11 high volume today and bullish. So so I might watch this charge point just based on what I'm seeing. This is kind of making the cut in my initial thoughts on that. All right. So what else? Carvana. This is a stock I've been interested in, and getting some repeated chain activity on it. Here's a bullish live flow alert, and here's a bearish live flow alert. And what Carvana did today, it went down 16%. So big fat downside move. And what did it kind of look like? It sold off pretty significantly, and then just kind of kept going throughout the day. If we zoom out a bit to the 1 hour chart, is it going to retest these lows at 30 before it kind of started to rally? That's something that I want to see on this page. Who's betting on more downside, a move to 30? Yeah, not many puts on the most active chains are showing up in that zone. We do have a leap down to 15, which is pretty extreme. 35, and here's 30. And we can see, yeah, 30p for this week is leaning bearish. We do have some weekly calls. 49 way out of the money. Not surprising that would be a bearish chain. But 43 is a bullish chain. We have a monthly here at 70, which is a slightly bullish as well. So so what I like about Carvana, I don't, it's going to go with the market tomorrow, but I do like how there's so much out of the money activity on it. So that you can trade that volatility, and you can get some sustained moves out of it. Today the move was down, but yesterday, we can see that, like a lot of stocks, it dipped it open and then recovered and had this big charge into close. So when you're an options trader, those like these two moves here are what you're trying to capture, and or move to the downside if you're playing puts. And it's a good example of, I didn't have triggers on this, but triggers would have been in around this zone here, like 30, mid 39s, and then probably 40 or so. But when you're actually trading intraday and you get a steep sell off like this, you can scalp calls just simply based on trading the RSI and kind of known levels. So if for example, in the flow, I'm not, I wouldn't be seeing it then push it much past this 37 level. I might go ahead and try some calls on it. And then, today, I mean, yes, it did go all the way down to 35, but we just look at where it came from yesterday. So it's essentially was just giving a lot of that back, and it did actually attempt to reclaim a level from yesterday. So the low of yesterday, we had this little push here to try to bring some of that back. Ultimately, it faltered and went down further. And today was just one of those trend days where any kind of positive movement ultimately worked better as a put entry. Looks like QQQ is trying to do a little something here into close. A little bit of a attempt at a rally. I wouldn't necessarily trust that, but not entirely surprising. If you're scalping end of day and you get some consolidation, you can try to scalp calls on something like this. Okay, so what else we got? Let's go to the dashboard. When I get to the end of the day, that's something I like to look at. And, all right, there it is. All right, so we'll go through our sectors here. I talked at open about how I'm looking at starting a swing on steel. And I didn't actually enter that because I just sort of saw what the market was seemingly wanting to sell off today, and that hit the steel stocks as well. So X trying a little bit of a rally here, and X under $25 is I think a pretty good spot for it. I'm not really in a big hurry to enter right now or anything, but that's something I'll be watching. And then when we look at this dashboard, we'll see that for basic materials for all caps, and X is a mid cap, X is kind of dominating this list, and the bullish premium is overwhelmingly outweighing the bearish premium on these particular contracts. And 617, that's coincidentally that's my target for a swing on X, is to look at a rally in mid-June to try to test the upper 20s and maybe hit $30. So that that to me is a good sign. I don't have a lot of interest in playing weeklies on X at this point. If I were to day trade it tomorrow, I'd probably be looking at next week's contracts, and if I do swing it, looking at 617. In the mid caps, we can see a lot of activity on X, and here we go. Sold puts 617, 23p, and 20p. That is an excellent sign and part of a piece of the puzzle as I plan out a swing like this. This is where the idea comes from, is to look at what the whales are buying. And X has weekly contracts, so 617 isn't really, that's an OPEX day. And OPEX is when all the monthly contracts expire. It's happening this week. Will happen a month from now on 617. But they could buy any week on X, but they're targeting 617. So this is kind of giving me, even on a day when X is down almost 5%, giving me some further conviction about this swing, and not in a huge hurry, looking to add it under $25. We'll probably, depending on what's going on tomorrow, get that swing started with those June contracts and shares. Okay, so that's what stands out at me in basic materials mostly is X. CLF is a large cap. It has kind of a similar story, although you're not quite seeing as much call volume on it. One thing I do notice is we have a lot of buyers on gold again, and both the ticker gold and gold stocks more generally. So if we go into the small caps, you're going to probably see, maybe it's a mid cap now. Well, no, I'm not seeing AUY. I'd expected to see them. AMRS, this is a chemical stock that has been on a good run this week. We'll see what it gave back. So it gave back 14%. That is a steep drop, but kind of within the larger context of what it's been doing, isn't really that big of a deal. And we see it came right back here to around 230, which is an area of some previous consolidation. So that that's notable. And AMRS is potentially could give it all back and give up $2, but is the flow indicating that? We do. So we have these bullish chains on it. Leaps to 3. This is what you commonly see whales buying on it for 2024, 2020, 2023. So AMRS has been a good day trade stock. It's also potentially a good candidate for a long swing. And we don't want to ignore the bearish activity, especially on a day like today. So there are some attempts to bring it down a bit, but most of the activity is in leaps on it. And in terms of the large caps, Vail's another steel stock. NEM, this is a gold stock. So leaps at 62.50, 1.3 million bullish premium, no bearish premium. Sold put 60p, almost $1 million, no bearish premium. So this is actually starting to tell me something about gold. And no bearish chains on NEM. No bearish chains on gold. Okay, so with the market in a bit of a free fall today, is gold a place you can look? Well, in terms of what they did today, gold sold off. SBSW is another gold stock. AUY, Sand, those are all gold stocks. But gold under 20. How do I like that? Yeah, we're definitely getting to a spot where I would consider gold. I really want to see it around this $20 level, defend that. And sold put at 20 is bullish. So that's good. And then we have bullish chain here, 5/20/21. So yeah, gold very well could have a green day tomorrow. And I'd probably actually expect that it would. If I'm thinking longer term, one green day doesn't mean a lot, but I'm kind of looking for spots to scale in, and around $20 on gold is I think a good spot. You'd want to buy yourself. Well, I would buy myself a lot of time with the contract. So I'm looking at June, mid-June, July contracts on it, and I'm just basically looking to recreate my last swing on gold, which caught it in January, and caught most of this run. I kind of scaled out and just had a few runners into March, but yeah, so that is something I'm looking for. I don't know. I'd be really surprised if gold revisits some of these lows, but if it did, I mean that's great. Thesis would kind of be invalidated under $18 for me, but I definitely for now I like it under 20. Want to see it defend 20, and then going to try to catch a run to 22, 25, and see if we can do that. So in a high inflation environment, gold stocks kind of should be on your radar. They've sold back off, so you're basically, if you miss the last run on gold, you're potentially getting another opportunity there. And let's see if we've rallied at all here. So yeah, again, you're getting these stalled rallies, so we're not going to get a lot of big buying into close here probably. Be worth watching futures to see how things react. It's a day that if you play puts today, I did play some puts today. I went ahead and just cashed them out. It's about as good of a day as you could get to the downside, and not looking to get greedy. I'll just re-enter tomorrow if we get more selling on it. So so really interesting day overall. A lot of selling, and let me just go through a couple more sectors here. Energy. Let's see what's going on there. So we do have a lot of buyers on Oxy and on TEL. These July contracts on TEL are kind of interesting. And on the bearish side, so on the dashboard, not a lot of ask side puts showing up, which is potentially positive. There are some here, mostly weeklies. So weeklies capitalizing on the drop in Oxy today. Whales aren't really entering a lot beyond that, at least on this page. If we go into the live flow alerts on Oxy, I am probably watch listing Oxy tomorrow. And so we have on the day, well, not a lot on the day here, just this one bearish sold call. Go into the intraday analyst. Yeah, so we see some Cope divergence on Oxy to close the day. And so that's a one bullish signal on it. A lot of intraday option volume was bullish as well. So in a stock that dropped 5 or 6%, that's a promising sign. The most active chains, there is a lot of bearish activity here, and some of the biggest option trades of the day. A lot of sold calls. These are pretty far out. These are leaps. So yeah, not a lot here for me in terms of what I'm looking at. If we go into the live flow on it, let's check that out. So I need to change my dates here. All right, try to limit this to today. And we'll get into Oxy. Okay, here we go. So into close, a lot of bullish activity on Oxy. So that's definitely promising. It's an energy stock, so oil futures are going to give you some indication as well. Let me get my light here. Wish I could adjust the timer on that, but want to be green here on campus, I suppose. Okay, so I like what I see so far on Oxy, and definitely love the range on it, and I see enough bullish activity that I will have a plan to enter calls. Not necessarily something I would just YOLO into at open. Don't really need to do that with Oxy. It gives you plenty of opportunities, and yeah, and we do see Oxy, trying a little bit of a rally here as well. So this 64.27 level, let's try to break through that a few times. Go back to the hour chart. And here again, so we do have it sitting right at a point of some previous consolidation. Zoom a little further out. And this had been a previous resistance point on it, topped out a few times back here in April at this level. And my most reliable line that I had been using, 56.99. I don't know the next time we're going to see that. So we're up in some new territory here, and this is a possible point where we get some reversal. This consolidation from the 13th is definitely interesting to me. So is Oxy going to defend this area and try to reverse higher? Possibly, certainly will be on my watch list in the morning. So we'll go over that in my my pre-market plans as well. All right, so we'll take just to review a couple stocks that caught my attention at close. Were ChargePoint, Carvana, Upstart, and Oxy. That's my initial thought on my four for the watch list. I will have sector notes on all the sectors as well, and really be looking at some of the EVs like Lucid and Rivian, which attempted to hold up today, and eventually, I think, kind of gave into some selling pressure late in the day. Well, Rivian hung in there. I mean, imagine a day, Rivian of all stocks, that has just been destroyed since it listed, that it's only down 0.62%, while SPY and QQQ are down 4 and 5%. That's showing some strength. So definitely interested in that, and I will be looking to see what the whales are going to do with that. I'll go over that one in the morning. I think there's going to be some potential there. So let's take one more look at. Oh, oh wow. Oh yes. Okay. So Rivian call pops up on the list, and you can tell I spend a lot of time on this site when that happens pretty often. Okay. So this is an October call, and hits a lot of my benchmarks. Volume, IV is playable, and it is out of the money. So that's good. I'd probably play a near expiration, but that alert certainly is notable. And $10 lotto, AMD call lotto as well. So $1 million. So this is not entirely surprising that end of day, a lot of these weekly bets on a relief bounce tomorrow are coming in. That would be fun if that happens. And yeah, I went through some of these. Sold put on AMC. AMC's had a pretty strong week, and another Upstart alert. So that is something to watch as well. All right, so we're heading into the bell, and we'll see what happens after hours. Very eventful day, and I hope you were able to come out unscathed. and hopefully profitable. And so I'll be on tomorrow with the live stream, and I will have those of you on Discord. I'll have some sector notes, and we'll try to prep us for tomorrow as much as I can. So thanks for joining, and I will see you all next time.